Once, when the Exalted One dwelt near Savatthi in Anathapindika's park at Jeta Grove, a great sacrifice was being prepared for Brahmin Ugata Sarira. 500 bulls, 500 steers, and as many heifers, goats, and rams were brought to the post for sacrifice. Now Brahmin Ugata Sarira went and visited the Exalted One, greeted him, exchanged the usual polite talk, and sat down at one side. So seated, he said, "Master Gotama, I've heard this. The laying of the fire and the setting up of the pillar are very fruitful, very advantageous." And the Buddha said, "By me too, Brahmin, has that been heard." And the Brahmin spoke a second time in like manner to the Exalted One, and the Exalted One replied as before. And the third time the Brahmin said, "Master Gotama, I've heard this. The laying of the fire and the setting up of the pillar are very fruitful, very advantageous." And the Buddha said, "By me too, Brahmin, has that been heard," for the third time. Then the Brahmin said, "This unites us, Master Gotama, even Master Gotama and ourselves, yes, all in all." Now when he had spoken, the Venerable Ananda said this, "Forsooth, Brahmin, Tathagatas ought not to be questioned thus. I've heard that the fire and pillar of sacrifice are very advantageous. It is thus they ought to be questioned. I am indeed anxious, Lord, to lay the fire, to set up the pillar. Lord, let the Exalted One counsel me. Let the Blessed One instruct me, so that it may be for my happiness, my welfare for many a day." I just stop here to comment. You see, this Brahmin, he didn't know how to ask properly and ask humbly. He actually wanted the Buddha's advice to confirm that this sacrifice that he was going to perform would be very meritorious. But instead of asking directly this question, he said that he heard that the laying of the fire and setting up of the pillar are very fruitful, very advantageous. And the Brahmin and the Buddha said, "I've also heard that something to that effect." And the second time he said the same thing, and the second time the Buddha replied as before, and the third time. So the Venerable Ananda thought that this Brahmin didn't know how to ask this question, and he advised him to ask this question properly. This applies to many people. Sometimes when you want to seek the advice of a monk, you must ask also directly what it is you want to know. Otherwise it might not be answered, or you might be misunderstood. Then the sutta continues. Then Brahmin Ugata Sarira said to the Exalted One, "I am indeed anxious, Master Gotama, to lay the fire, to set up the pillar. Let Master Gotama counsel and instruct me for my happiness and welfare for many a day." And the Buddha said, "Brahmin, even before the sacrifice, a man who lays the fire, who sets up the pillar, sets up 3 sorts: evil, ill in yield, ill in fruit." What 3? The mind sort, the word sort, the body sort. Even before the sacrifice, Brahmin, a man laying the fire, setting up the pillar, causes to arise such thoughts as, "Let there be slain for the sacrifice so many bulls, steers, heifers, goats, rams." Thinking to make merit, he makes demerit. Thinking to do good, he does evil. Thinking he seeks the way of happy going, he seeks the way of ill going. Brahmin, even before the sacrifice, a man laying the fire, setting up the pillar, sets up firstly this mind sort, which is evil, ill in yield, ill in fruit. Again, Brahmin, even before the sacrifice, he speaks such words as, "Let there be slain so many bulls, steers, heifers, goats, rams." Thinking to make merit, he makes demerit. Even before the sacrifice, he, laying the fire, setting up the pillar, sets up secondly this speech sort. Moreover, Brahmin, even before the sacrifice, he himself first sets on foot the business, saying, "Let them slay bulls, steers, heifers, goats and rams." Thinking to make merit, he makes demerit. Thinking to do good, he does evil. Thinking he seeks the way of happy going, he seeks the way of evil going. He sets up thirdly this body sword. Even before the sacrifice Brahmin, a man laying the fire, setting up the pillar, sets up these three evil swords, ill in yield, ill in fruit. Stop here again to comment. Here the Buddha is saying that when this person is making the preparation for the sacrifice of these animals to be killed, to be offered up to heaven, he does evil karma by these three ways: in thought, that means in the mind, by speech and by body. Firstly, in the mind, when he has intention to kill so many bulls, steers, heifers, etc., then he thinking to make merit, he makes demerit. Thinking to do good, he does evil. And similarly, when he orders the people to kill the animals, then he makes verbal evil karma. And then the third one, when he starts the killing, usually it seems that these Brahmins, when the sacrifice is started, the Brahmin himself will be the first to kill the animal, and then he lets the workmen do the rest. So in this third way, he sets up this evil deed. So these are the three ways: through the mind, through the speech, and through the action. And this is quite relevant to us today, because just recently we had this the 8th day of the New Year, the Chinese New Year, and in Penang, I was there recently. It seems that many animals were slaughtered for offering up to Sakadeva Raja. And so these people are in the same boat as this Brahmin, actually intending to make merit. They are making demerit. Intending to get a good result of their deeds, they are getting an evil result of their deeds, so that they would have to pay for this evil deed in future. So that's why by studying the suttas, we learn to avoid the evil ways of conduct and walk the skillful way in conduct. Then the Buddha continued, "Brahmin, these three fires ought to be forsaken, shunned, avoided." What three? The fires of passion, hatred and delusion, raga, dosa and moha. And why ought the fire of passion to be forsaken, shunned, avoided? With mind in passion, mastered, obsessed by passion, he takes a course ill by body, ill by speech, ill by mind. So doing, on the breaking up of the body after death, he arises in the untoward way, the ill way, the abyss, hell. Therefore, Brahmin, this fire of passion is to be forsaken, shunned, avoided. And why ought the fire of hatred to be forsaken, shunned, avoided? With mind perverted, mastered, obsessed by hatred, he takes a course ill by body, speech and mind, and so doing he arises in hell. Therefore, Brahmin, this fire of hatred is to be forsaken, shunned, avoided. And why ought the fire of delusion to be forsaken, shunned, avoided? With mind deluded, mastered, obsessed by delusion, he takes a course ill by body, speech and mind, and so doing he arises in hell. Therefore, Brahmin, this fire of delusion is to be forsaken, shunned, avoided. Verily, Brahmin, these three fires ought to be forsaken, shunned, avoided. So I'll stop here to comment again. The Buddha is saying these three poisons, the three defilements of passion, hatred and delusion, if they obsess us, if they control us, then we take a wrong course, and we perform wrong karma, evil karma, through the body, speech and mind. And because of that, we take rebirth in the woeful planes of existence. Then the Buddha said, Brahmin, these three fires, when esteemed, revered, venerated, respected, must bring the best happiness. What three? The fires of the venerable, the householder, the gift-worthy. And what is the fire of the venerable? Consider Brahmin, the man who honors his mother and his father. This is called the fire of the venerable. And why? From it this veneration has become. Therefore, Brahmin, this fire of the venerable, when esteemed, revered, venerated, respected, must bring the best happiness. And what is the fire of the householder? Consider Brahmin, the man who honors his sons, womenfolk, slaves, messengers, workmen. This is called the fire of the householder. Therefore, Brahmin, this fire of the householder, when esteemed, must bring the best happiness. And what is the fire of the gift-worthy? Consider Brahmin, those recluses and Brahmins who abstain from pride and indolence, who bear things patiently and meekly, each taming the self, each calming the self, each cooling the self. This is called the fire of the gift-worthy. Therefore, Brahmin, this fire of the gift-worthy, when esteemed, revered, venerated, respected, must bring the best happiness. Verily, Brahmin, these three fires, when esteemed, revered, venerated, respected, must bring the best happiness. Now this wood fire, Brahmin, has to be kindled from time to time, has to be tended from time to time, has to be quenched from time to time, has to be laid from time to time. And when he had thus spoken, Brahmin Ugata Sarira said to the Exalted One, It's amazing, Master Gotama, it's wonderful, Master Gotama. Let Master Gotama accept me as a lay disciple from this day forth, as long as I live, as one gone to refuge. I set free these 500 bulls, Master Gotama. I give them life. I set free these steers, heifers, goats and rams. I give them life. Let them eat the green grass. Let them drink the cold water. Let the fresh breeze blow upon them. That's the end of the sutta. So in the end, the Buddha is saying that instead of the three poisons, the three fires of passion, hatred and delusion, a person should venerate three other types of fires. The fire of the venerable, that means honoring, taking care, support of mother and father. And then the second one, the fire of the householder, is to take care of the family and the workmen, the workers, etc., the slaves, etc. And then the third, the fire of the gift-worthy, is to make offerings to recluses and Brahmins who cultivate the holy life well. And these three fires has to be kindled from time to time, has to be tended from time to time, has to be taken care of, well taken care of. And then in the end, the Brahmin took refuge in the Buddha.